In this video, I'm going to show you a simple automation that you can implement in your business in 30 minutes to improve the onboarding flow after a prospective client books a call with you. So typically when they book, they get a transactional email that says, hey, thanks for booking, we'll reach out soon. But if you want to stand out by sending a tailored email that actually addresses the problems that they provide in the booking link, keep watching. This one's going to be for you. So let's go ahead and do the demo first. I'll show you exactly how this works. So your client goes on to your booking link. Mine is through cal.com. So now let's go ahead and fill out the intake form. It's pretty simple. You can add more fields in here if you would like. I am in need of streamlining my onboarding workflow. I offer accounting services to nonprofits. As soon as that calendar has been booked, it's going to trigger a webhook, instantly receive information from that booking link. And then what we're doing here is we're drafting a tailored response using AI, specifically OpenAI. We're going to sleep for a few seconds. Right now I have this set to 1 because we don't want to wait forever, but we want to sleep on it for a few minutes. And then after the few minutes has passed, we will send out an email directly to that client addressing their issues. So let's take a look at that email and see what that looks like. Okay, so here's the email and here's the draft. Hey Tam, thanks for booking a time to connect. I saw your note about wanting to streamline your onboarding flow for your accounting services to nonprofits. On our call, we'll take a closer look at your current process and explore where automation can lighten the load and create more clarity for both you and your clients. Here's the link for our call, and this is the one that was spun up from the booking link directly. Feel free to bring any examples of your current onboarding steps so we can dive right in. Looking forward to it. And of course, we want to sign this with our name, so we can update that in our AI step. But there you go. You have a nice email that you can either automatically send, or if you want to have it drafted for review, to send it out yourself. Test it out, make sure that it works before automating the whole process. That's something that you can definitely do. So let's go ahead and get into this step by step. I'll show you how this works. All right, so back in Make, let me go ahead and explain to you exactly how I set this up step by step. We're also going to take a closer look at the AI step and make some tweaks to ensure that we have reliability in the way that it generates responses for us. So first, if you watch any of my other videos, I've explained webhooks before, but essentially webhooks just allow you to move data between different applications instantaneously, and all it is a URL. So when you're creating a new scenario in make.com, and you want to use the custom webhook module. That'll be your trigger. You'll see this lightning bolt here, which means that it is going to be triggered automatically when someone books through your calendar link. Popular tools like cal.com or Calendly will definitely have this functionality. So when you create this module and you want to add a new webhook, make sure you're naming this something that you're going to be able to recognize later on. For me, I named it cal.com intro call booking. And I also gave it a date, right? So I connected it just a couple days ago. And so I also gave that a date so I can recognize that as well. Now, what you get is a webhook URL. It's going to look something like this. It may look a little bit different for you depending on the region that you live in. I'm in the US, and so it's US1. Copy address. You want to copy this. And then we're going to hop over to cal.com. So this is what my dashboard looks like. And I am inside of the intro call in the settings section. So this is going to look a little bit differently for you depending on, again, on the scheduling system that you use. You'll see here that there is a settings option for webhooks. So I'm going to head down there. Now I've already set this up, but if you wanted to set a new webhook, I'm going to show you what that looks like. Let's head over to a new webhook, and the subscriber URL is just that URL that you copied in Make. So we'll drop that right here. The next thing we'll do is we'll leave this toggled on, enable webhook. What's awesome about this is because this is so robust, there's a ton of different triggers that you can essentially use to trigger the automation within make.com. So if you take a closer look at some of this, things like booking canceled, booking created, booking rejected, was it requested, rescheduled, no show. And so you could create is if someone doesn't show up for their scheduled appointment, you can automatically send a follow-up email to get them to reschedule that appointment. So that's going to really help make sure that you're not losing leads that were already interested in your services in the first place. So you would likely only want to have one trigger at a time. So let's say if you want to do booking no-show, you can select just that one. And then that's it. You would leave everything else as is. What you could do is ping test to make sure that the webhook is attached properly. Now I've already got that one set up here. So when a booking has been created, it's going to trigger the automation. Let's go ahead and edit this. And if I come back over to my automation, I'm just going to click run once so you can see that the webhook is it's waiting for information to be passed along. Now if I head back to cal.com and I do a ping test, you can see the webhook response has passed. So that's how you know that you've connected things properly. Cool. So that is the webhook setup. You can see that it passed some information through, and it's going to have just a test trigger event. It's not going to have anything real, so don't worry about that. The next step in the workflow is to add an AI step. Now, this is completely optional. You don't need to tailor response. You don't need to have AI in your workflow. You can simply delete this and then just have a standardized or a templated email that you send out every single time. So I'm going to show you what this looks like. In my form, I have 3 fields that I'm collecting: first name, email, and a extra notes section. So if someone books and they say, hey, I'm an accounting service provider, I focus on nonprofits, I want to streamline my onboarding workflow, we're going to take that note and we're going to write a tailored response to acknowledge their concerns, right? So the next module that you want to create is the create a completion prompt. And creating modules in make.com is very easy. You can double click anywhere on your canvas and search for it. And I use this one a lot. So I can just type for OpenAI, and we're going to create a simple completion prompt. And then from there, because this isn't connected, you want to actually connect it to the workflow. What you end up getting is something like this. And I'll walk you through the steps because typically good prompts might have multiple steps. It could be a little bit longer because you're also providing guardrails in place so that AI doesn't hallucinate, it doesn't make things up, it doesn't use the asterisks, it doesn't use the M dashes, which are almost dead giveaways that you're using AI. Okay, so connect your OpenAI account. Definitely talked about this in previous videos, so check that out. We're going to create a chat completion. You can choose the model here. I'm going to set that at the ChatGPT 4.0 latest. And then we're going to get into the actual prompt structure. So first, start with the developer system role. This is where you're assigning the role to AI. In this case, you are a helpful, intelligent assistant working at an AI automation agency who serves coaches, consultants, and service-based businesses. So it just has a little bit of context about who it is and what it's doing. And then the user role, so this is, we are providing instructions to AI. Typically, AI understands markdown format really well, and so we'll want to add these kind of like hashtags, almost like headers. It tells AI what we think is important, or it kind of breaks out these important sections. So first, the task: write an email in response to a booked introductory call that will prep the client ahead of the call. The guidelines: output only the contents of the email. Do not include the subject. Do not output any explainers, just the email itself. Output only in plain text, not in markdown. So we're not using, so it's not outputting, like the hash, the asterisks, things like that. Do not use asterisks. Do not use M dashes. Ease, efficiency, fine. So there's certain words that you may want to call out to have it not use those things because they suck. And then use bullets where necessary. Always include a CTA or next step. Never use, I hope this email finds you well. And then you can also describe edge cases. Sometimes, so in this case, if the client does not leave any notes, do not mention this directly. Instead, focus on the call being a space to learn more about their processes and needs. Because if they don't fill out that note section, it's going to be blank, and so we can't address those notes, right? Tone: warm, clear, grounded, no fluff. This is the way that I speak, and so I want to give it some instructions. The email should sound human and calm, as if it were written by someone who's thoughtful and present. I certainly hope to think that I am. So avoid overly formal or robotic phrasing. And by the way, there's no perfect way to prompt AI. These are things that you just need to throw in here, iterate, test, and once you're happy with the output, then that's arguably the longest part of automating workflows like this is actually the AI steps and testing your prompting and the output for reliability, because that's what you need. All right, output. Write a short email confirming the call, referencing notes if available, guiding the client on what to expect, including the video call link and a soft CTA. And then we're going to provide GPT an example. So the booking call details: full name, Marge Simpson, notes from the client. Looking forward to learning more about AI tools you can use and how it can help streamline our client onboarding process. And then here's a meeting call URL. Now, this is an example. The more examples that you can provide to AI, both inputs, the data that it's going to receive, and outputs, the more reliable its output is going to be. So in the next message, we are going to give it the assistant role. This is how you want GPT to respond back to you based off of those inputs earlier. Hey Marge, thanks again for taking the time to share a bit about your work. I saw your note about wanting to streamline your client onboarding process with AI. Looking forward to hearing more about the tools you're using now and where things are getting stuck. For the upcoming call, we'll use the time to walk through your current process, explore what's working and what's not, see where AI or automation might support you more effectively. Here's the link for the call. Feel free to bring any questions or recent examples you want to walk through. Chat soon, Tam. Now, you'll notice that in the draft email, it didn't create those subpoints. It didn't create those subpoints for us, right? So it's not exactly formatted the way that we gave it an example, and that's because we only gave it one single example. So what we'll do next is we're actually going to create another example so that has an additional piece of context to learn from. So let's hop back over to Make. So that wasn't the last step, by the way. That was AI responding back to us. And now what we do is we want to add it, the user role and the actual dynamic information that you would get from the webhook coming from any new booking that has been scheduled through your scheduling link. And so what you get are things like the name of the person, the additional notes, and also the video link that has been generated through the schedule. So how you map information in make.com is just by going into and clicking into things like this, right? The email, we've got the name, and then also, in this case, it was a test, so it didn't generate a video link, but that's okay. We're going to go ahead and walk through this one more time. Before we do that, though, let's go ahead and create a couple more messages. So let's add 2 more. Let's move this one down because we want the last message from us to be the actual details of the booking call, right? So here we're going to offer one more example. And then we're going to set up an assistant role, and we're going to copy the email from above, drop in that example again. Let's change a couple of details here. So booking call details: full name, Michael Scott. Notes from the client: my employees are burnt out and doing too many manual tasks. Meeting URL link. Let's just copy the one from above. Okay, so now let's go ahead and adjust this email here to pretend like we're responding to Michael Scott, right? So, hi, Michael. We only want to address him by his first name. Thanks again for taking the time to share a bit about your work. I saw your note about wanting to remove manual work off your team's plate because they are overwhelmed and burning out. Looking forward to hearing more about the tools you're using now and where things are getting stuck. Now, this isn't, any world-class email, so you can go ahead and change this, write it in your own tone. But just to give it an example, right? So for our upcoming call, we'll use this time to walk through your current process, explore what's working, what's not, see where AI or automation might support you more effectively. Here's the link for the call. Feel free to bring. So we can leave that as is. We'll save this step and let's just test this step individually, right? Instead of having to go into cal.com, book another fake meeting, run this automation, we're just going to run and test this single step. So how do we do that? We can right click and run this module only. And what we're going to get are the input details that are needed to actually make this AI step work. So what it needs first is the attendees. So we don't need the email. I think we only fed it the name. So let's give it Michael Scott again. We fed it the name. We don't care about any of the other stuff. Additional notes. My team is burnt out. They're doing things manually and want to know how AI can help them. Okay, I think that was it. We also needed the video URL. Let's not worry about that right now. So let's click OK. We just want to know what the email response is going to look like based off of this information. So now we've got a new output from OpenAI. And if you head down into result, it's going to show you the actual email that it produces, right? Hi, Michael. Thanks for booking a time to connect. I saw your note about your team feeling burnt out from too many manual tasks. On our call, we'll take a closer look at what they're currently managing and explore how AI can help lighten the load and free them up for higher value work. We'll use this time to understand your current workflows, identify repetitive or time-consuming tasks, and discuss where automation could make a difference. I'll follow up shortly with the video link for a call. If you have any recent examples or tools you're using now, feel free to bring those along. Looking forward to the conversation, Tam. And so you can see how that second example has already improved the output that we're getting from AI. So now that we've got that figured out, the next step that you want to add in here is a sleep module or a delay. Basically, it delays the next step of the automation from running for an X number of seconds. And so if someone books on your calendar, you're not going to write a tailored response and have it instantaneously go out. That just doesn't make any sense. So as a human, you might need to see the booking come through, and then maybe you're out in the world on your phone, responding via your phone. It takes you a few minutes to do that. That's exactly what we're simulating here. So the sleep step, right now it's set to 1, but you could set this to, let's say, 180 seconds, so that's a few minutes. But for testing purposes, we're going to leave this at 1, so we're just not waiting forever. And then we'll take a look at the last email step. Now, this is a send an email module. What we're doing is we're sending it immediately, but what we can do is create a draft if you're not comfortable with automatically sending this out just yet. And how you do that is just by finding the email module. And you can see that there are more actions under emails. You can create a draft instead of send an email. And it's going to look very similar to this setup here. So let's just take a closer look at that one. Okay, so you want to connect your email account. I generally like to save the message after sending into a specific folder. In this case, because we're sending the email directly or automatically, let's save it in the sent mail folder. That's how you typically want to set it up. I actually want to do this into the drafts just so that we have better visibility. Okay, connection drafts. So the email, what you're mapping is the information that's coming through from the webhook. So if you head over to the webhook section, you can see that when you hover over any of these items, that first module is going to pulsate. So that's how you know that you're pulling information from the right module. So if you click on attendees, you see that there's some sample data here. What we want to grab is the email address, and that's exactly what we have here. And just so you can see how we're doing this, I'm going to remove it. It's going to be blank slate when you first hop in and set up this module. So the email address is this. Just simply click on it. Subject, you want to update this. So looking forward to our call, just something basic. Content type is plain text. Now you can choose to customize it with HTML, which allows you to do things like hyperlink text, and so it looks a little bit cleaner. So in the case of our email, we had the video call link, the Google Meets link, that was just kind of displayed there. The whole link was just out there for everyone to see. What you could do is create HTML around that link so that it's kind of hidden along with the text. We're just going to do plain text for simplicity today. The content, so this is the body of the email, comes from the result that we generate from AI. So that is this result item right here. And then the rest of the settings for email, I do like to make sure that the from fields is updated as well. And if you don't see this from field, what you do need to do is just toggle on show advanced settings. I like to copy and paste this right here, this example, John Bush, just drop it right in here, and then update with my name. And what this allows us to do is ensure that when the email does go out to the client, that it shows your name in its entirety. Maybe you just want to go by the first name. You can remove this last name right here, and then the email address that is shown as well. So sometimes if you don't fill out this field, it might not show your name properly as the sender. Okay, and I leave everything else the same. We'll just click save. Let's save this workflow, and then let's run this again with new information and see how it goes. All right, so heading over to cal.com. All right, let's book a new meeting. Let's go Michael Scott. I'll leave the email address as is. And then I run a creative agency, and we need help automating fulfillment. I'm a solopreneur, and I'm wearing too many hats. Okay, let's see how this goes. So you can see it triggers the automation automatically. It's going through AI and creating that email. And then ultimately it's delaying it for 1 second right now. We're going to email it out, and let's see what that looks like here. Save it in the drafts folder. It's already been sent. There it is. Hey, Michael, thanks for booking time to connect. I saw your note about running a creative agency and needing help with automating fulfillment. Wearing all the hats as a solopreneur can be a lot, so we'll use this call to get a clear picture of what you're managing and where automation can step in to support you. On the call, we'll walk through your current fulfillment process, identify where time is being spent manually, explore options for streamlining with the right tools. Here's the link for a call. Now, this is the actual link. Feel free to bring any examples or questions you want to dive into. Looking forward to it. So you can see now this section follows the same formatting that we had given it 2 examples for, but it does also update this according to the notes that have been provided. I'm going to provide the AI blueprint or the make.com blueprint in the description below, so make sure you check that out if you want to import this exact workflow into your own make.com account. If you like this video, make sure that you like and subscribe, and hope to see you in the next one. Thanks.